I'm the lucky asshole that gets to follow the fiction. No problem. I love this show. I love essays. It's like the only time I can casually bring up that I was in AP English. Anybody here? Cool. Thank you. Thank you. This essay is called Me, Myself, and I. Asking for help used to be a last resort type of thing for me, whether it was juggling 2 heavy grocery bags or learning the art of the female orgasm. My general vibe when offered a helping hand had always been, no thanks, I'm good. After one has held an impending poo on a 17-hour bus ride in Peru, while sitting next to a live chicken, you kind of feel invincible. A mixture of defiance, empowerment, and stupidity, I moved throughout the world wanting to be the kind of woman described in the classic 2001 Destiny's Child album, Survivor. Being a person who eats almost anything in front of them and doesn't enjoy a meal unless it's fiery bowels level spicy. Tummy issues are an all too familiar part of my daily digestive diaries. My peak abdominal suffering occurred one evening during the winter of 2017 in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love where hitchhiking robots go to die. I lived in a traditional row home in the West Philly with 4 roommates and a pit bull named Miles. We were gathered in the living room, probably talking about our cartoon character crushes and or generational trauma. At the ripe age of 27, I had grown so accustomed to the occasional tummy ache that after dinner that night, I ignored the severe jolts of pain striking my belly. Every so often, I'd clutch my stomach and announce to my roommates, "Dang, my stomach really hurts." I declined their offer of Pepto-Bismol, thinking a massive shit was all my body needed to relieve the pain. I sat on the toilet long enough to watch the entire Gilmore Girls recap of Rory and Jess's love story. Without any asteroids crash landing into the toilet, I gave up and went to bed. After hours of trying to sleep off the pain, I glanced at the clock to realize it was 3 a.m. I knew that this pain was different from food poisoning or menstrual cramps. Thanks to watching 9 seasons of the beloved but kinda dumb sitcom Scrubs, I developed the ability to self-diagnose medical conditions with relative accuracy. My symptoms were acute pain in the lower right abdomen, nausea, and constipation. I thought to myself, it's appendicitis, bitch. Get yourself to the hospital. I managed to drag myself into the driver's seat of my 2015 Camry I affectionately named Darius. In hindsight, I should have asked one of my roommates to drive me as I was doubling over in pain, but my brain was trained to only rely on myself. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone's sweet slumber on the account of me possibly dying. I was Xena the warrior princess without the sword, armor, or bangs. I drove 4.2 miles to the University of Pennsylvania Hospital, parked my car, and hobbled through the doors of the ER. The waiting room looked in as bad shape as me or worse. Gunshot wounds, crying mothers, and head injuries filled the room. I walked to the front desk, explained my symptoms, and declared that my self-diagnosis was appendicitis. The jaded receptionist routinely asked for my ID and told me to have a seat. At this point, the pain felt unbearable, and a giant wave of nausea made me speed walk to the bathroom. For the next 3 hours, I was in and out of the waiting room restroom, rotating between having explosive diarrhea and vomiting my guts out. The very demure, very mindful security guard politely avoided my gaze each time I rushed by. In between bathroom trips, I curled up in a fetal position on the cold waiting room chairs. My weak fingers dialed my sister's number, leaving a very dramatic voicemail saying, "I'm in the ER and I'm not gonna make it. Please bury me in my Snape t-shirt and burn all my journals." As the sun started to come up, my sister called me back in tears after listening to my death note. "You can't ever leave a voicemail like that again." I replied in a frail voice, "I've been waiting in the hospital for 5 hours and they haven't admitted me. The pain is excruciating and I'm dead serious. I'm gonna die today." Then, as if touched by an angel, the clouds parted and I heard my name called from the other side of the room. "I gotta go. If I'm alive, I'll call you later. The ER was over capacity, so they put me on a cot in the hallway. I once again explained my symptoms and repeated my self-diagnosis. It's appendicitis. UPenn's hospital was flooded with med students, and my nurse was a youthful, divine guardian with a disarming smile that made me already feel one with the clouds. I shamelessly flirted with Nurse Hottie on my deathbed. As he stuck the IV drip in my arm, I gazed at him dreamily and said, "You have kind eyes." The heavenly medication entered my bloodstream, numbing my pain and emboldening me to flirt even more aggressively with Nurse Hottie. We engaged in playful banter, relaxed body language, and prolonged eye contact. I mean, he was already being attentive and asking me questions. My favorite foreplay. I felt so delirious, I could have sworn Nurse Hottie was flirting back. He dabbed my forehead with a wet cloth and whispered, "I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain, oh yeah." For the next 12 hours, medical professionals thought I had colitis or an STI. I was furious they made me undergo painful vaginal tests when I had appendicitis. All the tests came back negative, and the doctor said they needed to run a CT scan. Shortly after, my nurse rushed to my side and said, "You have appendicitis, and we need to get you into surgery as soon as possible." I was too exhausted to make a self-righteous remark, so I just said, "Awesome." My surgeon came by to meet me pre-op. He looked like a young Lenny Kravitz with sultry eyes and biceps. Holy mother of God. I have to be naked on an operating table in front of this man? This man? Great. He told me to arrange for someone to bring me anything I needed because I had to stay overnight for observation. I called one of my unemployed roommates and requested she bring a razor so I could shave my hairy stomach before Lenny took the knife to me. My guardian angel / roommate with rainbow-dyed hair arrived shortly with my essentials. I wheeled my way to the bathroom to discreetly shave my belly. As I sloppily removed all traces of societally inappropriate body hair, I thought to myself, the patriarchy wins again. I remember feeling scared and lonely before going into surgery. I laid on the cold operating table with silent tears sliding down my face, wishing I had someone to hold my hand and tell me that everything would be okay. Without anyone to reassure me, I channeled Zen Master Phil Jackson and coached myself through the pain. The appendectomy went smoothly, and I woke up with a catheter up my urethra. Vaginal pain on top of vaginal pain would be a chapter in my memoir. In my 30s, I've started to lean on people more, and it feels good, not like a weakness. If my appendix were ever to become inflamed again, it can't because they cut it off. But if it did, I'd gently knock on my roommate's door and ask them to escort me to the ER. I'd let them wait with me, even if it inconvenienced them, because that's what friends are for. My Indian parents are still disappointed that I never became a doctor or married Nurse Hottie. But every now and then I make an accurate medical diagnosis that the professionals get wrong. I'm hyped that this dumb comic is sometimes right and has the scars to prove it. Thank you.